Okay, then we can start. Today is called Chomtrul Duchen in Tibetan. This means the great time or the great day of miracles. It is a day when Buddha Shakyamuni showed many amazing manifestations. But it's also a day of miracles for us. Because on this day, they say every action, whether it's positive or negative, carries 100 million times as much karmic valency as on an ordinary day. So for us, it's an auspicious day because today we are launching in the hard version in English and the Kindle version, Machik's Way, the illustrated version of Machik Labdran's biography. This book, illustrated like Me First by Diana Collins, points to a very different path from the one revealed in Me First. Me First illustrates how when the essential teaching is given, it's so important that we receive it from an open heart and not from the turbulence of our ego ambition. In the text, the Lama who is visiting the area where the young master and his servant are, gives them a very direct instruction. He says, the basis of all you experience is your simple presence, pure and uncontrived. Then he says, rest in your unchanging open awareness, and all limitations will vanish like clouds fading into the sky. So he's saying to see the nature of your own mind is to liberate all experience. Liberating the sense of self, your own personal history, the way you formulate to yourself and to others the qualities of your existence. There is no basis for accumulation. Our accumulation of I exist, I am myself, I am my reference point. As if I was unchanging and reliable and a true basis for how I am. Yet, when we attend to all the experiences which we take to belong to I, me, myself, we find they are not stable. So he's saying, you will find the liberation you seek by not working so hard, by not grasping at elements of your experience and building up a pattern, an identity that you can rest inside. In our lives, we have had so many millions of experiences, so many thoughts, so many feelings, so many memories, so many plans. At certain times in our life, we have merged ourselves with these formations and taken them to be essential to our existence and perhaps even to be who we are. So this is a kind of dark magic, in the sense that we have taken transient moments, particular patternings which had no substantial basis, and have used them to support and energize the delusion of the sense that we continue as a fixed entity through time. We could only have all these countless experiences if our basic self in its most direct form, our presence, were empty. I am this, I am that, I expand, I contract. All this incredible diversity of forms is only possible because we are not a fixed entity. And the creativity of the mind is not my creativity, my egoic creativity. It arises and passes, arises and passes. But if we pull these moments together and compound them and glue them together, we create the density of I exist, I know who I am, this is what I do. So in the story of Me First, the young master goes astray by believing that he is the owner of his experience. And because my existence is vast like the sky, I have the freedom to be however I want to be. I can do as I like. And that leads him into the repetition of many bad actions, bringing more and more dull stupidity to himself and more suffering to others. This position we see embedded, unfortunately, in many of the rulers in the world today. I am the boss. I am the important one. You have to do what I say. And if you don't do what I say, I will punish you and hurt you. This bullying will to power, the desire to dominate others, is of course grounded in anxiety and fear. Because if my starting point is I exist and I am important, then seeing the absence of inherent existence in what I take to be who I am is very threatening. I will die. I will not be successful. Difficulties are part of my life. This is something that the dictator, the bully, doesn't want to know. If you want to know where suffering is, it will be in you. It's not going to be in me. So what we see in the story of Me First and in the politics of our world is that the big powerful ones insult and demean many people with joy, with a sense of power. But if anyone points out their faults, they become very angry. I see you. I see what is wrong with you. You cannot see me because I have a different quality of existence. We see that in the story and we see it everywhere. All faults, all limitations belong to others. All victory, all good qualities belong to myself. This positioning of the ego is a profound barrier to Dharma awakening, because the Buddha teaches the dissolving of all that is compounded. All compounded things are impermanent. Our body, even if it was healthy and agile at certain stages in our life, starts to become old and prone to sickness. I will die. This formation that I take to be myself is not the whole of my existence. My body is part of the world. And through the years of our life, our body has been in ceaseless interaction with the environment. The body is not self-existing. We have to breathe, we have to eat and drink and urinate and defecate. I am part of the field of experience. And all the things that I have said in my life have emerged as sound moving into silence. Our words are gestures of connectivity. Their value arises in their enactment. Books are like a backward in a big hospital. They sit in their little bed on our bookshelf as if they were in a coma. And then maybe one day we go to visit them. We open the book. The quality of attention of our gaze, of our interest, revives this sleeping hero, and we start to have a conversation. The book needs the reader, and the reader needs the book. It's one thing to say, O mani padme hum ri, O mani padme hum ri, O mani padme hum ri. But if you go out in the street and you talk to yourself, people will not think you are a saintly, holy person. When we recite mantras, we are connecting with the potential of the deity, which is our potential. Similarly, when we talk with other people, we are bringing the richness of our life energies into communication. So when the dictators and the bullies are monitoring our speech with their secret police and they're editing our access to communication, we can see that there is a fear of freedom embedded in their maintenance of their identity. When we have free communication in a conversation, we don't know what we're going to say. We hear what the other says, we receive and respond. As we receive what they say, we are shifted inside. We are shifted off the track of our familiar thinking. We are taken out of ourselves. We find ourselves saying things we hadn't imagined we would say. This allows us to see that we are not speaking out of some limited portfolio of thoughts and intentions, but rather the openness of our mind can give rise to myriad manifestations. And when we have a rich and deep conversation with someone else, their freedom to speak freely touches us in different ways so that we, in turn, speak freely. That is to say, my freedom is inseparable from your freedom. If I sense that you are going to judge me in a very critical way, I become self-conscious. I'm becoming careful in what I say, how I can express myself. And if I get deeply infected with this fear and anxiety, then I become self-monitoring and self-policing. The crazy dictator says whatever he wants, and everyone around is kind of shaking, wondering, oh my God, what will happen next? So in our Dharma practice, we are always very careful to avoid controlling others. Our goal is connectivity, not domination. In that, if I am to connect with different people, I will have to experience my own plasticity. My lack of fixity is my capacity to relate to others. In this illustrated story of Machik Labdran's life that we launched today, we see a young girl who is suffused with a longing for Dharma. Her parents, her brother keep trying to encourage her, listen, be normal, fit in, do as we do. And of course, there is a kind of coziness, a kind of safety in becoming invisible by fitting in. But she doesn't fall into the story of everyday life. She sees with her own eyes how life operates. If you want to have butter, you have to go and take care of the dzo, the female yak, milk, churn the milk, make the butter, and then the butter is eaten, and you must do it again. You plant some barley, you attend to the watering of the fields, you cut the stalks, then you have to thresh it to separate the grain from the plant it's been growing on. And then you lay it out on this flat area and get the yaks to walk around trampling on it in order to take the husk off the grain. Then you can roast the grain and grind it. And then you have tsampa. So this roasted flour, you can then mix with yogurt, and it's very delicious, but it vanishes down your throat. And soon the food is gone, and you have to prepare some more. There is no end to the task of maintaining a social life. 1 minute you are young, then you are in midlife, and then you are old. Where has your life gone? You spent it being yourself, demonstrating the potential of self-reference. But when you're old, you're not young. I was young. I did these things, but that chapter is closed. I used my life to gain social status, belonging, a chance to wear fine clothes, to eat and drink, and now I'm fading. So she says to her family, if that's what you want, you do it. I'm not stopping you doing it, but it's not for me. She says, dear parents, everything in your life is here one moment and then vanishing. All of these patterns of social interaction are impermanent. She said, I want to find that which is truly reliable. I want to follow the Dharma. Well, it's a very sweet story, and I would recommend that you get a copy of it. Because firstly, her words are very true and expressed very sweetly, and most importantly, are just the medicine that we need in our lives so that we are not endlessly woven into the texture of samsara. She has a vision. It's an uncommon vision. When I look at the screen, it says that we are 146 people. If we were a football match, we might have 146,000 people watching. But Dharma, sadly, is not so popular. And sometimes that can feel a bit lonely. And the family keep trying to pull Machik Lavdran into their notion of belonging. We'll get you a husband, you can have children, you have a good life. But she sees very clearly that security, that safety is like an illusion. As we see, countries are invaded. That happened in Tibet. It happens in Europe, in South America. Somebody wants what we have. And the quick way to get things is to kill and steal. People who have some ethical value say, no, I would rather work and have the sweat of my brow give me my food than doing bad things, which is good, but very, very, it eats up a huge amount of time. If we are going to practice Dharma, there are many things we won't be able to do. In particular, we become a little bit careful around distraction. So you could watch a movie and vanish into the storyline. It's like a holiday. I don't need to think about family problems, work problems. I just fall asleep in this film. But we are Dharma people. When we watch a movie, because it's not forbidden, we can watch it as a teaching on the nature of illusion. We can feel how the images, the characters that the actors are displaying seem so true, so reliable, so real, and yet they're not. Dharma teaching, is it possible in everything we do? The difference between having a Dharma life and a non-Dharma life is that a Dharma life requires us to be present, to be awake, whereas in non-Dharma life, we fall asleep into a fusion with the events. It is not the fact that different experiences arise that is the problem. The issue is that we believe that what is occurring is real. And then we think, oh, it's real and desirable and I want more, or it's real and undesirable and I want less. So there are the three root poisons. The first is this mental dullness or reification or solidification, whereby we take self to be real and other to be real. Now, this sense that I exist, I am myself, feels as if it is inherently existing. I am myself. I've always been me. And because I'm me, sometimes I like this, sometimes I like that. When I get what I like, I'm happy. When I get what I don't like, then I'm sad. So it's very important to have quality control. And if I can protect the boundaries of myself, if I can build walls, if I can have guards with guns, then I will make sure that only the good people come in and bad people have to stay out. I am the king of the land of me. That view doesn't work for most of us, because controlling events and trying only to get what we like is impossible. And we learn I have to fit in. I have to be pliable. Now, the dictator says, I don't do that. I don't bend for anyone. I insist that my voice tells the truth and you will do what I say. So, would we be better off if we were the dictator? We wouldn't have to bend. But for most of us, if we go to see our doctor, the doctor says, more exercise. Don't spend so much time sitting on your bum. Get up and move. The dictator becomes sclerotic. They become rigid. They become covered in a shell. only speak with their own advisors. They have no contact with ordinary people. So that path of dominance seeks to have power over events, power to mold the world the way I want it to be. But when we look at history, we see that all the regimes which dictators have established crumble, sometimes in their lifetime, sometimes when they die, but definitely soon after. They choose the power of being apart. They live in the palace, surrounded by soldiers and guards. Now, this apartness gives them a sense of safety. They have motor cars which resist bullets, and they have thick glass and so on. Whereas we go to work standing in the bus, being rocked and shaken as the wheels go over the potholes. How wonderful to have uneven roads, because the bus is shaking. And I am shaking. So just by going on the bus, I don't have to go to the gym. I get a full workout. That is to say, we seek the power to participate, but not the power to dominate. It says that the Buddha Shakyamuni taught 84,000 different dharmas. He didn't say, I teach you one time and you do what I say. He could see all the people who came to him had their own particular constitution, their own particular patterning of their potential. So he acts like, I will go towards you. I will present the teaching in a way that will suit you. We have our karmic traits. We have our own particular patterning of the 5 elements. We have the patterning of how the 5 poisons operate for us, particularly with the first aspect of mental dullness. We are often quite blind to many of the tight and limited patterns we manifest. You don't have to become someone else to do Dharma. You have to find how Dharma fits you. Hopefully a Dharma teacher can give many metaphors and images so that you will find some transmission which fits how you are. However you receive the teaching, this is like getting a new pair of shoes. The shoes look very nice. They have a clear shape, but you have bumpy feet. So when you put your bumpy foot in the shoe, it doesn't quite fit. So you have to wear the shoe around the house, and gradually the leather softens. Then you start to trust, when I walk in my shoes, they will protect my feet and they won't hurt me. So in the Dharma teachings, they say there are 3 stages. The first is to hear the teachings or study the teaching, receive the teaching. In the second stage is to reflect on the teaching, to massage it into yourself so that your rigid ego shape will be softened and you can start to be at home with the Dharma. And now you can do the Dharma practice because it fits. You can see how relevant every aspect of it is to your own life. So this is true for all the Buddha's teachings. Whether you're studying the Theravada Sutras or the Mahayana Sutras or Tantra or Dzogchen, it always involves you exposing yourself to the Dharma so that it can soften you. We want to have softness, not hardness. Although in the tantric texts, they talk a lot about the Vajra. The Vajra is a symbol of the indestructibility of the Buddha mind. The Buddha mind is indestructible not because it is very, very hard, but because it is open and empty. Vajra means emptiness. There is nothing there to be undermined or attacked or destroyed. All the patterns of our world are patterns of experience. Experience arises through participation. If we're doing our basic meditation, the Guru Yoga of the White R, at the end of the third R, we're just sitting, open, available. All kinds of experiences arise. Do I need them? Do I not need them? Are they my friends? Are they my enemies? Neither. I am open and they are passing through. They are self-arising and self-vanishing. And what I see is, although my mind is empty and I cannot find any enduring substance in it, I have no lack. And although many, many thoughts and feelings and memories are arising and passing, by remaining relaxed and open, I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not seduced or drawn into them. And so there is no excess. So between the absence of lack and the absence of excess, there is the simplicity of availability. Resting in this spaciousness, gradually our habit formations have nothing to cling to, nothing to lean on, nothing to join and produce new mental formations. This is how we awaken to the truth of the Dharmakaya. Our mind is complete in its emptiness. It is like space. You can't get to the limit of space. It is infinite. Now, in an ordinary sense, if I think of my mind, it doesn't feel infinite. My mind seems to be full of my concerns, my worries, my hopes, my fears. But by relaxing and releasing myself from the need for involvement, I find I'm okay just being open. Who is the one who is open? No one. And yet, I am present. I am not present as me. I am a simple, bright presence which permits the showing and vanishing of all the different formations. So in the Dzogchen teachings, the metaphor or the image of the mirror is used again and again. The mirror functions because it has no fixed content of its own. So the mirror shows what's in front of it. So when you rise from your meditation, you're moving in a world in which there are, for most of us, other people. How shall I be with them? This is not the question to start with. Rather, we stay present in our senses. How are they? They are the conditions of our life. Well, if you have a family, if you have children, children are the condition of your life. Children are often quite moody. They can be full of excitement and don't want to calm down. and they can be anxious and demand lots of attention. How will I be with them? Now, the simple way is to follow the path of the dictator. Don't do that. Don't say these things. It's very bad. I know you should fit in. If we release ourselves from that corset of power, then we can respond towards the person as they are, even if it is an uncomfortable experience. And there is something very important in this. So, to children or partners or colleagues at work, we become clear, your job is not to make me happy. And if you make me unhappy, that's just one of the many things that happens. Because happiness is a quality of relaxed openness. And that quality of happiness is very subtle and deep and rich, and it's present even in difficult circumstances. I'm not looking to the other to complete me. The mind is already complete. This is the meaning of Dzogpa Chembo, the great completion. Whatever occurs is within the mind, arising and passing. Dynamism, change, variety, diversity, this is the quality of manifestation. So this, from the Dharmakaya openness, there arises the Sambhogakaya, or the body or the aspect of enjoyment, which is the ability to be present with whatever happens. So, primarily this is about our, what you might call our inner experience, as we have hopes and fears and regrets and so on. And without editing or changing or protecting ourselves from them, we say, oh, this is life. This is how my life is. The patterns of experience are not other than the openness of the mirror of awareness. This is the luminosity or clarity of our mind. The reflection in the mirror is not something you can get. The mirror is incredibly generous. It just shows and shows and shows, but you can't catch the reflection. In the same way, in your own mind, you have hopes, fears, memories, plans, arising and passing, but they vanish through your fingers like sand. And when we have this clarity, we're not afraid. Difficult times will vanish. It is absolutely guaranteed they will vanish. And so I don't need to struggle to get rid of them. Now, good times, happiness, wonderful relationships, and so on, they also will vanish. Therefore, there's no point to try to hang on to them because they are intrinsically vanishing. So this is the basis for our meditation instructions. Don't go after past thoughts. Don't wait expectantly for future thoughts. Remain relaxed and open, whatever occurs. With this movement within space, when we arise from the practice and we engage with the forms of the world, the plasticity goes with us. I'm not a thing. I'm not a fixed entity. Now, in order to stay effortlessly present with this, we have to see the delusion of our fixed, enduring sense of self. All that I have taken myself to be in the many events or situations of my life, all of these formations have vanished. That is to say, the continuity of I, of presence, is presence. It's not the presence of me, as if there was some entity which is the core or the factory which is generating all the things I do. All the formations that flow through me are the breath of emptiness. They are the winds in space that chase the clouds across the sky. Therefore, not looking at what happened with regret, not looking at the future with hopes. By doing the Guru Yoga again and again, we come to see that in all situations, I am here right now. Everything is within here and now. If I tell you that 5 years ago I was still working in the hospital, you might take that as a little plane and go off. Oh, yes, he worked in a hospital. But the hospital where I worked is not the same. The staff have changed. The administration has changed. There is nowhere to go. The thought of 5 years ago is here and now. So there and then is a movie showing in the cinema of here and now. And this cinema is always open and it shows endless movies. So this is the Nirmanakaya, or the apparitional manifestation in which we take on many patterns and shapes, but none of them is definitive. Nobody knows me. I don't know me. We can know objects, or at least that is the delusion of the duality of subject and object. But I am not a thing, and I don't live in a world of things. All sentient beings are processes of revelation. They have the particular patterning of that kind of quality of experience, which is, if you like, their identity for a while. But that's already a reification, a solidification. Rather, we could see it as a pattern. The different birds fly in different ways. The small birds like the sparrow and the robin have to work very hard. Their wings are not big enough to catch the wind. But the eagle extends these huge wings and finds the wind and is carried. So all the people we know are manifesting the unique specificity of their being in the world, which means that each encounter we have with cows and dogs and people are opportunities for us to be flexible, receptive, and responsive. This incredible diversity of forms of movement in space is not produced by the specificity of individual identity. There is no self-guaranteeing patterning machine operating in any sentient being. Our experience is participative, not separative. And so we are unsettled. So if we go back to the three aspects or the three kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, the Dharmakaya, the space of the mind, never moves. It is the space of presence, and it is always here and now. That's why you can never lose it. But because it's always just here and now and has no fixed content, for the ego, it's not very interesting. And so for the ego, it's easy to ignore. Now, the shimmering field of transient experience which arises as the Sambhogakaya never stops. And our manifestation in the world with our postures, gestures, speech acts, and so on is always moving with the other. The unchanging stillness of the Dharmakaya and the ceaseless movement of the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya are not in contradiction. And for meditators, this is very important. In the practice of Dzogchen, we are not trying to control what occurs or how it occurs. We're not trying to, we're not trying to stabilize manifestation or movement. Because if we want stillness, we look to the Dharmakaya, which is always there. Don't look to the movement of the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya for stillness. So this is the profound truth of non-duality. And this is not known by narcissistic, egoic, world-dominating dictators. They are endlessly putting people in prison, in gulags, torturing, maiming, in order to try to get movement to be the way they want it to be. Their feeling is always the same. Only if all my enemies are defeated, then I will be free and happy and safe. People should do what I want. Then I won't be upset. But as the Buddha said, friends become enemies, enemies become friends. Political alliances are subject to change. So we should see this and see movement cannot be stopped. And therefore we feel compassion for all the powerful ones who want to stop movement and make it occur only in the pattern that they want. So on this day of miracles, we can pray that all the dominant bullying ones of the world will awaken to the stupidity of their desire for domination and have their hearts turned in the direction of collaboration. So in these two books, the Me First and Machik's Way, we can see how the use of power to become dominant leads only to disaster. And that if, like Machik Labdran, we can learn to collaborate with our own potential, then the relaxed radiance of our own presence will be able to connect with many different people and to invite them to join us. Not to join us in membership of a sangha or a club or a party. Rather, we invite all sentient beings to join with us in the simplicity of being at home, here and now, as we are. And that would be a real miracle. So may this miracle come to be. So I wish you well on this day, and maybe we meet again. So let me have a look at all our lovely people. You, pleasure, gallery. Here is everyone. Hello, hello. All these lovely faces. We are the lucky ones. How happy we are. Hooray! Hooray! So, maybe we meet in person this year sometime. That would be very lovely. Otherwise, we keep our hearts open for each other. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Nie
No, a
trzymamy dla
сейчас
siebie otwarte
пока.
serce.
Thank you, James. Thanks,
До
everyone.
свидания.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Спасибо вам большое.
Our
Спасибо.
translators,
Bye.
translators who make the...
Thank you, Dele.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Покедова.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone.